Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers. I thank everybody that's involved with this process because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers.
Experience is not about the publisher. It is about us, the authors.
Hi, it's good to be with you again. I am Lynda Daniele, and I am the author of two little books. And the first one is Grandpa Nick's Bump, which is about my husband who had meningioma. He had a very, very large tumor, and we never called it a tumor. It was a bump, and we called it a bump. And the four little children across the street from us that we babysat for from when they were all born, they came over one day and they asked my husband to be their grandfather when they realized they didn't have one. So from there, hi Reginald, it's nice to see you too. But from there, Grandpa Nick said, of course, I'll be your grandfather. And unfortunately, about 4 months or so later, he passed away. So it's that story of children finding a grandfather, playing and being silly and happy with him, having, he passes away, and then it's kind of a heaven scenario after that. So this is not your typical children's book, but it is, I think it's important for children and for parents as well. And then the second book, this is a happy book. There's nothing sad in here. And it's Grandpa Nick the Conductor. And it is about my husband and my son were both trolley operators, conductors at a local museum in my area. And it's about finding a cat and her 4 kittens in the trolley barn. And what happens, they try to find families for the kittens, and they couldn't find people. It was just one of those things. So some of it's true, some of it's made up and enhanced. Grandpa Nick's Bump, on the other hand, is completely true. All of that is true. And and I hope to be doing another book soon. I've been working on it. I turned in my first draft, but it's only a draft. And that will be called The Adventures of Grandpa Nick and the Model A. And the Model A is a Ford, 1931 Ford Coupe that is a family. She's a family car where she has her little personality. And in the story, she talks and her voice is like 5 years old and she does not understand people, but that's a work in progress. And I may, if I get time tonight, I may read a little bit from that story. But what I thought I would do tonight is a little bit different for me. I went through the chat that we've gotten in the last couple of evenings, and I did answer quite a few of them. If you check on the chat online, and they're all of my broadcasts are on YouTube. You just type in my name and they pop right up. But I had a lot of questions last night. My son was here with me, and we were talking about one of my poems called The Hutch. I also write a little bit of poetry, and the poem is called The Hutch, and it seemed to get to people where they really had a lot of questions. So I thought I would just take a few minutes and just go over some of the questions, because I thought they really floored us, my son and I, and they were very thoughtful and direct, and hard to answer. They really were hard. Hi, Lois. Hi. I'm glad you're here tonight with us. Thank you. So the first chat that I had was Eleanor, and she asked, "Do you have a plan to follow upon Grandpa Nick's bump and conductor?" And yes, I do. It will be that story that I'm working on now. It will be the adventures of Grandpa Nick and the Model A Ford. Myrtle, hi, how are you, Myrtle? I'm so glad that you're here. That's awesome. Thank you. And please feel free to type in where you're from. We had a couple people from San Diego. We've had Kentucky, Virginia, New York City. So just for fun, just put your state or your country that you're from. That'd be kind of cool to know. So that was yes, I am doing the adventures of Grandpa Nick and the Model A. Heather had asked on the chat, in what ways do you feel Grandpa Nick's influence and presence of the Holy Spirit have shaped your values and beliefs? And one of the things that I said was, when I think of the word presence, I think of pre-sense, before senses. So, we may not be aware while we're living our story that the Holy Spirit is with us, but he's always with us. For those of you that may not have seen my broadcast before, in my little books, I have a picture of the Holy Spirit, the little dubby, and the children have to find him on the pages, and he's hiding. And that's just a little lesson to teach the children that the Holy Spirit is always with us, even if we don't realize it. You may have to look for him, which is what I have the children do in that. But think about pre-sense. Betty says, I think it's normal for some parts of your books to be true, and some are like a retelling of an event. Yes. I think so. Yeah, that's certainly the way I work. It is, parts of it are true and parts of it are enhanced. But like I say, the bump story is definitely, that's 100% true. Also, Eleanor asked in the chat last night, what is your advice for upcoming children's authors? Just to write about what you know and write from your heart. Readers can tell very quickly if somebody's sincere. I think the big word now is authenticity. And that I guess that won the Webster's Dictionary Word of the Year or something. And that's from Springfield, Massachusetts. I live outside of Springfield. So the place where they actually figure out what words are going to be in the Webster's Dictionary for the next year. It happens in Springfield, Massachusetts. So a lot of things happen in Springfield. So you have to be authentic, because people can tell very, very quickly. And also to pay attention to detail. That's really important. Heather asked, seeing that Grandpa Nick seemed to be a wise and intelligent man, what was the most important lesson that you learned from Grandpa Nick? And he would say, don't sweat the small stuff. He was practical, and he would solve problems. And he would say, if I have a problem, I have to figure out now, how do I solve it? So that would be, don't sweat the small stuff. Another thing was Cecilia had in her chat as a question, how do you feel the love of Grandpa Nick has for you and the Holy Spirit have intersected in your own personal growth and understanding. Marriage is very, very special. I know a lot of people may not think that anymore, but marriage is very, very special. And it's between the couple and the Holy Spirit. So there's three in a marriage, the couple and the Holy Spirit. And when either spouse passes away, there's a tearing away. And I know I experienced that myself. It's a tearing away of the other. And it's very hard to explain, but it's very real. And a lot of times people don't talk about that. I'm happy to talk about it, but some people, I don't know. It's really, really hard. But there is a spiritual tearing away, especially if it's a good marriage. When somebody passes away. That was a hard question, but I appreciate it, Cecilia. Debbie asked, do you use the illustrations in your books as means of expressing your connection to Grandpa Nick and the Holy Spirit? Yes, that's the one reason I wrote the books. The pictures in the books are so important to children that are non-readers because that's all they have. If they don't know how to read the words, they haven't learned how to paint with words yet. So that's very important. Yes. Reginald asked, did Grandpa Nick influence you about life and how to live it? Yes. He influenced us a great deal for sure. Yes. He was just very special, not perfect by any, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but he did influence us in ways probably that we don't even realize. Tisha asked last night, how did Grandpa Nick's love for life influence your artistic pursuits? And I try to use happy, bright colors, primary colors, because it's more noticeable, and I want to keep it bright and in light. I want my readers to push away the darkness of this crazy, crazy world and bring in the light, bring in the color, bring in the light. Let it be pizzazzy, Let the light be so bright that you have to squint your eyes. Very, very important. And then the last one, I think that's the last one. I just wanted to make sure that I covered these. Chad asked, do the memorabilia that's in the hutch that we showed last night have their own unique stories? And what is your favorite so far? They all do, only because of the people that gave those things in the hutch to me. And so my little answer here is, I love the military items from family members who are no longer with us. They help to remember. It helps us to remember them. Also, we need to remember our history, family, our world history and our family history as well. It's just really, really important. Not everybody has that generational family background where ideas and stories are passed down, and I think that generational, I don't know what to call it, generational passing on of stories is really, really important for families, for identity, and for being able to stand up straight and tall and taking a deep breath. I think that's important. The other thing I wanted to share with you is my little granddaughter, who's 7. She has been listening to all of these broadcasts, okay? And she never met Grandpa Nick. She never got to meet him. So she's really been thinking a lot. So this is what she gave me last night after last night's broadcast, and because she was listening to the whole thing. And this is a little card to Grandpa Nick, and my heart is just fluttering. And it is, she's first grade. I don't fully know who you are, so here is your note. And then if I go over here, there's a little kitty cat and a rainbow. And I thought for first grade, I had to share that with you. I don't fully know who you are, so here is your note. And that's for Grandpa Nick. And you can bet I'm going to have this framed, and it's going to be in my living room. It's priceless. She never gave me a card like that before, so it just melted my heart. It really, truly did. The other thing is, I wanted to show you some more things that thank you. This is all my granddaughter too. She loves to color. I have no idea what that is. I don't know. This is a fairy cat. She loves cats. This is walking the dog. These are some more fairy cats. Oops. This right there is a rocket launch. That right there is a rocket launcher. I don't know. This is a library. And, so it's all of her artwork. I always love it when I see you in that room. The artistic vibe in there is just oozing. Thank you. It's just so much fun. I'm just in my kitchen. And luckily you can't see the rest of it because it's a mess. Okay. So the other night I read to you the poem of the Hutch, and I got a lot of positive feedback, and I'm really, really happy about that. So I pulled out a couple more things from the Hutch. And in my Hutch poem, I talked about, let me see here. Looking through a reflection of white curtains through its glass, I see great-grandma's hand-painted ceramic plates and teacups, where many tea leaves were read and futures discussed. Not read by gypsies and babushkas, but by English elites at social gatherings, after parlor concerts on velvet-covered upright pianos, cigars smoldering, and sheet music penciled in with chord changes. So this isn't exactly the same teacup, but it gives you an idea of the teacups that they would have used. And this, I think my daughter-in-law's mom got this, at a flea market. But and she gave it to me, so that's why it's in the Hutch. But it's the kind of style that my great-grandmother would have had. So I just wanted to show you that. Marlene says, do the kids still look for their Grandpa Nick? Do you tell them stories about him outside of the book? They're all older now. This story has been in the making for a while. So 2 of them are in high school, and one's in college, and one graduated from community college. So, but when they were little, they used to talk about him all the time. I'm kind of like a surrogate grandma. They have a grandmother, but I'm part of their family, definitely. Brenda, do you find that your own experiences and moments with Grandpa Nick influence the way you write? Absolutely. Absolutely, without a question. Yes. We were married 30 years. So it's got to have an influence there somewhere, and certainly going through his illnesses he had meningioma with a very large tumor. It was huge. Going through all of that has certainly made me more empathetic to other people that are suffering. I think when I was younger, I wasn't as empathetic as I am now, but when you go through certain things, I guess it mellows you out a little bit, so you start to see what other people feel. I think that's kind of a normal process of life. Renee, what messages or insights do you hope readers will take away from your exploration of family relationships in your writing? Wonderful question. Wonderful. I hope they realize the importance of family relationships, because families, I believe, are under attack today. I think, we're so busy. We're not talking to each other. We're doing this stuff with our thumbs. We're going to get carpal thumb. We're so busy on the internet, and we're all so busy doing things that really don't matter, that talking to each other, sitting down at the table and everybody's on their cell phone, that kind of thing. Put that stuff away, put it away, and talk to each other and really look at each other. It's really important. And the whole idea too that I've talked about in a few of these episodes is about the importance of fatherhood and grandfatherhood. Dads are really, really important, even though they may not understand that. Betty says, to piggyback on your advice about writing with your heart, do you have any advice to help ease the process of releasing what's in my heart, for example? Oh, wow, that is a great question. I'm blown away by some of these questions. Do you have any advice to help ease the process of releasing what's in my heart? I had a pastor once a long time ago that said, listen to your dreams. And I actually have gotten some of the ideas for poetry from dreams. I have a secondary story that I've been working on for a long time that came from a dream. So that's really important. And also to talk about it with other people. Sometimes if you have a good friend and you would like to share the idea of whatever you're trying to write about, that really helps too, because it bounces off of another human being instead of just being here. That's really important. That's a fantastic question. Thank you for doing that. I got to think about that myself. So another thing that came out of my hutch, and none of this stuff is expensive. This is all just memories, This was part of a wedding present. I don't know if you can see that or not. The little rose. It's a little thing, but it means a lot to me. Probably wasn't very expensive, but it means a lot to me. So that was in that hutch as well. Paula says, what do you believe are the benefits of writing about family and close-knit relationships? I think it forges them. Does that make sense? I think it solidifies a little bit. And it's also important for our children to understand our family. Whatever family you have, there's all sorts of different kinds of family in our world. So that's very important. And family history is a part of a person's identity, That's why things like Ancestry.com and things are so popular, because people are looking for that identity. Shannon asks, what drew you to explore the theme of family and close-knit relationships in your writing? Because a lot of my family members are gone. I don't have too many family members left that are living. So, and my direct family is very small. So when that starts happening, you start thinking about how important those things are, and maybe shoulda, coulda, woulda. I should have listened a little bit more to mom, or, dad had great advice. Why didn't I do it? That kind of thing. So it's very important, and every relationship is different. No family, no couple, nobody's the same. Chad says, how does it make you feel knowing that Grandpa Nick's story is reaching many people? My heart's fluttering. I'm very, very happy. And both little stories are very precious to me, but especially Grandpa Nick's bump, because I hope that it teaches that death and dying are just a normal part. I believe all we're doing is we're walking through a veil. They're right there. We just can't see them. I really believe that. I don't think heaven's that far. I think it's just walking through a curtain kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense to me. And everybody's different. Everybody has their own faith, and I appreciate that. But that's what it is for me. I think my husband can still hear me. I talk to him. I'm either talking to myself or I'm talking to him. One or the other. That's a very good question, Chad. Thank you. Thank you for that. Another thing that I pulled out of my little hutch, and then Bethy, if you're there, do you remember this? I don't know if you're watching or not, but this is a little glass swan. And we got that. And part of the story goes exhibitions past. And in our area here in Western Mass, we have something known as the Big E Fair. And this is, I got, my friend Bethy gave me this in high school. And I just recently had my 50th high school reunion. So this is very old. And the second to last thing that I can show you is, this is old, but you've probably seen this before. It's a little sand dollar, right? It's been sitting in that hutch for a very, very long time. You know, it's kind of a big one, but it's something somebody gave me, and it's very important, not because of it, but because the person gave it to me. And the last thing I wanted to show you is my dad was in World War II, and this is his hat, American Legion hat. You know, those things are important. The memories are important. The things are not. Shannon says, did Grandpa Nick also enjoy poems? I know you write your own poems, so I was just curious if you ever read some of them to him. In your writing, how do you portray the couple? He loved poetry. He knew more poetry than I ever will. He knew all the lyrics of so many operas. You know, he knew the English part. He wouldn't know the language, Italian or whatever. But he was very, very knowledgeable about, people like, Thoreau or Whitman or all sorts of Dickinson, all sorts of people that would write. He was very knowledgeable about that. Shannon, did Grandpa Nick also enjoy poems? Oh, okay. Okay. I know you write your own poems, so I was curious. How do you portray the complexities and challenges that can arise with family relationships? That's something that would take a long time to think about, because I have to go from my family relationships to what other people's family relationships might be. And I may not be able to, to do that. So I can only go from what I know. If I'm telling other people to write what they know, I have to do the same thing. So in my family, I can kind of branch off and do that. We only have 2 more minutes, Ben. Oh my goodness. Holy tamale. I didn't know it was that fast. So one thing you might like, it was a whole nother thing I was going to do. I'm going to be here tomorrow night. The time is a little bit different. It will be from 6 to 6:30 p.m. Same place, like they used to say on television, same time, same station, but 6 to 6:30. I am also going to be part of the round table February 2nd, tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow with at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I will be on the round table, and tomorrow night I will I will be here for 6 to 6:30 p.m. I wish I had more time, because I love answering your questions. I really do. And just so that you might see a little snippet of our couplehood, this is what I'm talking about. And just so happy. So happy. We had a wonderful family. We were so fortunate. God blessed us in so many different ways. And I just thought you would get a kick out of that. And lastly, the Model A story that I'm working on is about this car, which that's a picture of 1931 Model A Ford Coupe on top of Mount Washington. So that's what my next book will be about. I can't believe the time is going. I can't believe it. So I could have talked for another hour, but I would love to see you tomorrow. 6 o'clock instead of 7, 6 to 6:30 p.m. And if there's anything that you would like, keep typing in the chat and I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. Continue even after my broadcast tomorrow. Continue watching the festival during the weekend because it's still going on. The weekends have a lot of the authors of the hours and that kind of thing. So I want to say thank you. Thank you, Reader's Magnet, for this whole opportunity. This has been wonderful. And I will see you tomorrow evening at 6 Eastern Standard. Bye-bye.